second. Here we go.
30 seconds.
Okay. And I'm waiting for the picture. Here we go. Come on, LinkedIn. Let's do it. There we go. Okay, everybody wave furiously. I'm going to pick on you, Joel Dubin. Behave yourself. Okay?
I will. I will
Oh.
behave myself.
Oh, he said okay. All right.
It's hard. It's difficult,
10
but I will.
seconds.
That's why I picked on
I
you.
wore a
Okay.
clean shirt today. I'm proud of that.
Oh,
I
okay.
needed that feed. Have an awesome
I'm
show.
the comedian here, Joel. Thank you. Let's do it.
Comedian.
Send us the feed, Michael. Thank you. Dance with me. Dance with me, everybody.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, aka Radio Red, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's aka Radio Red.
Thank you to the wonderful voice who introduces me. Radio Red in the house. Happy to be here. It's Monday. Where else would I be at 5 p.m. Eastern? Thank you for joining us. I want my guests who have not been introduced, but you can see their names on the screen. Wave hello to LinkedIn. 2 hands for Facebook. I got 2 pages there. Wave hello to YouTube and wave hello silently to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. There we are. And thank you to my engineer, Michael at Voice America. So before we start, I need the 4 of you. We got a packed house today, full house. I wish I was playing cards and had a full house, but I don't even play cards, so I'm not sure what that means. Make the sign of the L, please. And you're going to, on the count of 3, you're going to follow with me and say, hello, L, L, L. Just like that. That speed. 1, 2, 3. Hello. L, L, L. Oh my God. Michael, would you please write down that today, June 17th, this was the best, most in sync LLL panel I think I've ever had. You just moved up the leaderboard. Last week was tied for 2. We have a new winner. Thank you all. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. She's a lady I met at a dance class about 20 years ago in New York, and we've stayed friends. And every night, every Monday at about 6:01 p.m. Eastern, I will get an email from her and she will tell me what Joe said and what Joel said and what Monique said and what Cindy said. I get a little book report and she'll say, hello, beautiful, gorgeous lady of red. I love the show. So we're doing a shout out. Now, the key is that I wanted her to move to a place that started with L. Joel, you know, all L's, but she lives in Whitestone. What can we do? So I gave her a list of L's all over the country. And then I want to move to London. But when I tilted my head, I told you I had vertigo. Well, I accidentally tilted my head and the N in London spun upside down to a U. So I ended up in Loudon, Tennessee. So I'm trying to get Laura to come. Yeah, Joel, you laugh at my jokes. You're a good guy. Okay. So LLL, she does listen and she loves the show. There we go. So it is the 17th of June. It's the 168th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. We had the Julian calendar and Pope Gregory didn't like it at all because there are a bunch of gaps in the days in October, especially. So he moved the leap year days around. Very smart guy. There are 197 days left. This is the 25th Monday, and nobody cares about that except me because I'm on the radio every Monday. But when we get to about 150 days, I'm going to advise my guests. If you have something special planned for New Year's Eve, go get that, whatever you're going to be drinking. Make it, if it's Kahlua, if it's bootleg whiskey, if it's something off the shelf, get it soon because everything will be gone. There we go. So now I'm going to read a little opening poem for my guests. I created this in ChatGPT. Let me do a little quiz. I don't think any of you saw the show before, so I think this will work. I put in a little opening and a closing, very little, and then I gave it a full bio for you, Cindy Wageman, for you, Joel Dubin, for you, Monique Gagné, for you, Joe Hippensteel. You all know how long your bios were, about 1,000 characters. All went into one request, and I hit the submit button. How long before ChatGPT, the LLM, large language model chatbot, how long or how quickly before it came back to me with the poem you're about to hear? And it's a very long poem. So how many minutes? If you think it's minutes, put up your fingers with the number of minutes. Oh, you're smart. If you think it's seconds, how many seconds?
6.
We got 2 for Cindy. We got
30.
3 for Monique. Joel,
30.
Joel, what do you have, Joel?
0. Instantaneous.
0. And Joe, how many seconds do you think? 2.
2 minutes.
I picked the wrong audience to do this with. It used to be 3 seconds. Then it was 2.25. And now, Joel, you're close. It's about 1 second because I hit the submit 1,000 and it's there. So we're going to go. I'll split it with you, Joel. I'll split it. So half a second. There we go. Thank you very much. But then I am the human in this negotiation, and I take longer than that because I go in and edit it and make it. It's really special. So here we go. Welcome to Read My Lips, where creativity flows with akaRadioRed and her Scarlett mic. The energy glows. Y'all see me glowing? On this episode, the languages of creativity we will explore with 4 inspiring guests, their stories, and much more. Cindy Wageman, wave hello, Cindy, has a tale of hope and light. Diagnosed with MS, she fought with all her might. A coach, a painter, healed from within. Her journey from trauma to wholeness gave life a new spin. Cindy, did you like that?
I loved it.
I rent these out. We'll negotiate after the show. Joel Dubin, a cybersecurity sage, now pens his truth from dysfunctional companies to marriage's sweet tooth. A polyglot humorist, his wisdom he shares. In laughter and languages, his spirit soars and he cares. Joel, what'd you think?
I love it. It's a nice synopsis of everything about
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Monique Gagné, from fashion's vibrant scene to financial empowerment, her mission is keen. A software creator and mortgage pro wise, she teaches financial happiness to open young eyes. Monique, what'd you think?
I just love it.
I'm
Really.
glad. I'm glad. No pressure, Joe. You're next. Joe Hippensteel, a master of the human form. From decathlon dreams, his methods transform. With a book and a vision, pain he defeats. Ultimate human performance as the heart beats and beats. Joe, what'd you think?
You're quite creative. It's awesome.
Well, I have a partner in this. So join us today as we dive deep and see the languages of creativity, setting minds free. akaRadioRed lets the conversations ignite on Read My Lips Radio in the live streaming light. Do we have a thumbs up for that? Did you like it? Thank you. I do rent the poems out, so we'll negotiate. The rates are variable depending on, I'm only teasing, but I have to try to be funny. See, the laughter is important to me. So let's go around the table, and I really appreciate how much you enjoyed that. So let's go around the table and find out a little more about each of you. Since there are 4 of you, keep it to just about 3 minutes tops. If you see me doing this, it means, okay, you're on the 10th page of your resume. Let's start to wrap it up. Cindy Wageman, I'm putting you on speaker view. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Cindy, can't wait to share you with my audience. Go ahead.
I was raised in Idaho with a lot of mountains and streams, and I was a tomboy. I did a lot of fishing with my dad, and I learned to love nature during that time. I loved the colors, and I wanted the colors. I wanted them. I felt like they just were resonating with my soul. And as time went on, my husband and I, we were married, and at 24 years old, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And it was a very disheartening. I was so afraid for my family because the doctors gave me no hope. In fact, the doctor told me, you're going to possibly be in a wheelchair, and if the sun or the heat bothers you, just to stay inside. And I was a country girl. I was an outside girl. So that really disturbed me, possibly more than anything. But I was very sick. And so I turned to God and I prayed to him and asked him for wisdom and knowledge. And he did that. He helped me, and I did my own research. I found a doctor. The doctor's name was Dr. Singh. He instructed me. He said, Cindy, build up your immune system. And that's what I did. I built up my immune system and I healed my genes. And he taught me about epigenetics, and I became well. It took me 10 years, and I struggled very, very hard with everything that went on, a lot of suffering, but I became completely well. And so I decided to become a life and relationship coach. I've done that for a lot of years, helping my clients. And I learned more from my clients than they ever learned from me. I learned why I got sick and how I got well. And so I wanted to share with others all about that and and that's why I wrote my book. I'm Completely Healed, was so that I could share with others at a greater influence, that they could be healed and they didn't have to have autoimmune disease for the rest of their lives.
Thank you, Cindy. I'm grateful that you conquered this and that you're well. We all are. We're glad that you're here. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
We'll talk
you.
about your art later, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Joel Dubin, you're up next. Are you behaving yourself? Are you going to behave yourself, Joel?
I'm trying. It's difficult.
Don't try too hard. It's more fun when people don't. Just, you know what the limits are. Joel, welcome. Tell us who you
Thank you.
are.
So I'm a retired cybersecurity consultant, and I like to also call myself an adult survivor of the corporate world. So for decades, I worked in various companies. I also consulted many companies around the world, and I'll explain how that links to my polyglot interest. And so I developed over the years what I call these 7 habits that I saw that were common and in companies that were screwed up. I kind of felt like I was chafing under, working in kind of the straitjacket of the corporate world. And so when I had the opportunity to finally leave after a couple of decades, I did that. And I found that my book was a source of therapy for me to kind of get it all out and talk about the things that just annoyed me. I was always the guy that was the smart aleck that always had the stupid comment in the middle of a meeting. I was in a meeting, we were talking about some really idiotic policy, and I just blurted out in the middle, whoever wrote this, whatever they were smoking, they should share it with the rest of us because it must have been some pretty good stuff. And everybody else, it kind of broke the ice, and everybody else agreed and just kept laughing. And there was another time that I worked for a company where they had what I call ritualistic slaughter, where they had a process for firing people. You knew if a vice president came in from the home office that someone was going to be murdered that day. You always check the floor to make sure there wasn't blood flowing. They call us into the office. A powerful vice president said, "Are there any questions?" I said, "Yeah. Do we still report to Patty, who's his executive assistant?" That didn't go over well. But I'm actually from a suburb of Chicago, just north of Chicago, called Skokie. And what makes Skokie unique is, I grew up in Skokie as a kid in the 60s and 70s. And it was a very kind of monochrome kind of a place, very, all-American white picket fence place. And then I left to kind of see the world. And I lived overseas and I traveled. I learned multiple languages, and many of those languages helped me in my work because I did consulting work all over the world. And then my wife and I moved back here, and I didn't know what to expect, about 10 years ago after being away for like 35 years.
Mhm.
And what I found is that I left Skokie to see the world, and I came back to Skokie, and the world came to see me, because Skokie is very, very diverse, multi-ethnic community. There's about 50 languages spoken here. I speak maybe 3 to 4 just in the course of every day, doing errands, doing all kinds of things. And I love it. I just love that kind of real mix. It's a real mix of people. So, and then, I've had a happy marriage, and based on that, I had a lot of humorous things. I'm always saying yes, dear, to my wife. And that's how I titled my book, just about all the various things. Well, before we were married, my wife thought I was the funniest guy in the world. Now that we're married, anytime I say something, she rolls her eyes and says, "What a moron," so things
Joel,
change.
thank you.
Didn't
Joel,
have met my wife, so
I named this episode The Languages of Creativity in your honor. I want you
thank
to
you.
know
Thank
that.
you very much.
I have to pick, after hundreds of shows, I have to pick a different word every week. I think I'm recycling some of the titles, but who cares? Thank you very much. And we'll have you speak a little bit in many of those languages later on, Joel. Please
be glad to.
treat me to that. Thank you. Let's go to Monique Gagné. Monique, love to have you here. So glad that you accepted my invitation. Would you please tell us a little bit about who you are? Welcome, Monique.
Thank you for inviting me, Reed. I'm very happy to be here with these great people that are sharing the podcast with me. I'm from Ottawa, Canada. A little further, I'm actually a mortgage broker and financial coach. Been doing financial coaching for the last 20 years. And what I see, nothing has much changed from 20 years ago to today. People always say, well, I can't do well with money because I haven't learned it in school. So my goal today is to try to teach as young as possible the younger kids, so we can actually teach them how money works younger, so they don't have the excuse when they're older. I started my career as as a fashion designer. Moved on to being in IT, and this is where I became known in finance, as because I had to take a course to be able to teach the financing and build the software. And I decided I love to do this, so I went to coaching and coaching instead. I've been coaching since, and what I wanted to do is try to let people understand that money is really just a tool. So it's the way that you actually handle money that it makes a difference. And in today's world, I think what happened is people started with credit cards, and credit cards, we have no value for it. And but we actually learned to have value for the paper. So because we don't respect credit card the same way, it seems that now there's a big flail out there where credit card debt problem is definitely an issue. So my goal is to try to make people understand that managing money is really simple. I've got this thing that is the way I teach it is the 20, 30, 50 rules. Basically what it is you got 20% in saving, 30% in wants, and 50% in needs. So your needs is basically the important things like shelter, food, and clothing and transportation. Your wants is basically anything your heart desire. So if you have credit cards, well, that's part of your wants. It means that you actually took borrowed money to get your wants, meaning that you'll have to pay your bank instead of getting what you really want the next time. So I don't know if you like your bank that much to pay them interest instead of having the next thing. So I think what I'd like to do is teach the younger kids to be patient, okay? And when I'm teaching the power of money to them, teach them 4 things: dreams and goals, earn before spending, discipline of and patient, and the joy of giving back. Those are the 4 things that I think are very important.
They
And
certainly are. Thank you. And financial literacy is so important. On my technology show, I had 4 people who teach it, who write about it several years ago. It was one of my most popular shows that year. It was before I was doing shows about artificial intelligence, but it's very important. And you're right. We don't know how to save. We don't know how to spend. We don't know what's happening to our money. We really don't. And it's a lifelong learning process. So I'm glad you're
it,
helping people. Thank you, Monique. Joe Hippensteel, you're up. Let's hear from you. Go ahead, Joe. Welcome.
All right. Thank you, Radio Red. Thanks for the opportunity. I love your energy. We're
Thank you.
basking in it.
You're kind.
So I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania, and I'm a small guy, and I always had dreams of and loved sports. So I had dreams of maybe one day making the Olympic team. And I went to a small college in Pennsylvania, and my track and field coach there didn't want me wasting my time on the other events, which is part of the decathlon. I was doing high jump and hurdles there. So I said, I want to do the decathlon. He says, no, I don't want you wasting your time. I said, I'll see you later. I'm transferring. So literally that day, I started calling schools in California. And I said, I'm going to California to train for the Olympics. So a very big goal for someone my size, didn't have the genetics, didn't have the power, the strength, the speed. And so I went to Fresno State and was the number 7 decathlete on the team out of 7. And I just kind of followed guys around. I followed them around until I could catch up with some of them. Eventually started leading some of them. And within 2 years, I was number 1 at Fresno State. I won the conference championships, and then I went on to qualify for the national championships. And at that point, and this is interesting, my mother sent an article about me from my hometown newspaper to the track coach at the small college and saying he could beat your team by himself now. I thought that was unique. So from Fresno State, I did well. I said, that's it. I'm going to train for the Olympics, continue training. And I moved out of my apartment into my car so I could train 8 hours a day, not have to work full time. And it allowed me to, I'd go to different universities to see different coaches. I'd use their cafeteria, their locker rooms. Then I'd go to sleep in my car until the security would kick me out of the parking lot. Then I'd go to a local mall and sleep in the parking lot there. So it was total dedication. You know, when you're living your dream, it doesn't matter. The circumstances don't matter. So for me, I was living my dream. I trained on and off for the next 20 years, in addition to trying to earn some money so I could pay my bills, at least pay for the gas and my car insurance, et cetera. And it was really a mission of finding creative ways, which blends into your whole theme, which I love. You have to be creative to go above and beyond what the norm is. And so I tried different training theories that I would come up with, like wearing a 40-pound vest 24 hours a day, except for the pole vault and the hurdles and the high jump. But everything else, I'd wear a vest so I'd get used to weighing 200 pounds so that I could eventually take off 40 pounds before a track meet. And I'd feel like I was high jumping on the moon, just, so much lighter, so much stronger. So I worked on different theories and eventually came up with what I call the kangaroo theory. I realized I had to have a massively strong lower body like a kangaroo, and I could keep up with some of the bigger guys. So although I never made it to the Olympics, I've had the opportunity now to be able to work with some fantastic organizations like the Navy SEALs. We've been with them for 14 years, healing their injuries, teaching them how to train properly, professional athletes, different sports teams at universities, and individuals all over the world. We have 10,000 clients in 57 countries. So I'm just happily going on my way with videos and seminars. We're leaving tomorrow for London to do another seminar. So that's kind of a quickie summary of what I'm doing. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, Joe, you made the Olympics of your own category there. Bravo to you. My goodness. You don't usually hear about that. I chose to live in my car so I could do it. Usually I didn't have anything. I had to live in my car. I haven't heard that side of the story. Very, very interesting, motivating. We say to kids, find that dream and pursue it and give it your all. But it takes a creative approach to figure what that all is, right, Cindy? Right, Monique? Right, Joel? Right, Joe? You have to come up with what works for you or try to figure out what works for you. We don't always know. I want to backtrack for a second. Joel Dubin, I am also former corporate, still recovering. And in my case, it was done over the phone. It was Thursday of Pink Slip Week. I'll tell you later which company, 6,000 to 8,000 layoffs at a time. It was a big company. And my manager called me on a Thursday and he said, Joe, don't get upset. Joe from HR is on the phone. And I said, okay, guys, cut the crap. Let's have it. I said that. I said there's cold sweat running down the sides of my body. Let's get this over with, because there was no other reason HR would have called me on that Thursday. And we got it over with. Lots of intricate twists and turns. But I'll tell you the rest of the story later on. I don't want to get into it. But anyway, thank you all for the bios. Now let's have even more fun. And I love the stories. One of my joys in putting people together for this show, you all know at the summit, I don't say, oh, Cindy would be good with Joel and Monique would be good with Joe. And I say, okay, next date. Are you ready? Do you have it? Okay, good. Give me a phone number. Give me an email. You're in. Okay, June 17th. Great. And then I go to the next 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 people and I fill over 30 spots. That's how I do it. So I don't put people together because I think you'll like each other or you have similar stories. It's just, that's the way that cookie crumbled. Okay, so let's go to the opening quotes. I've asked each of you to send me a quote from a fictional character in a movie or a TV show or a song lyric. And let's take 2 minutes on this because we've got a lot to cover. We're almost halfway through and I'm loving the conversation so far. So Cindy Wageman has sent a quote, a beautiful lyric from The Hills Are Alive, the song we know from The Sound of Music, 1965. Wow. Musical drama film produced and directed by Robert Wise, starring Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, with people you may not even remember. Peggy Wood, I remember her, Charmaine Carr, L.R. Parker, Richard Hayden. Adaptation of a 1959 stage musical composed by Richard Rodgers with lyrics by Hammerstein, of course. Quickly, set in Salzburg, Austria, a fictional retelling of Maria von Trapp's experiences as a governess to 7 children, her eventual marriage with their father, Captain Georg von Trapp, and their escape in 1938. We won't get into the politics of that. So the line Cindy shows is, the hills are alive. I don't sing on the show, Cindy. You'll spoil everything. The hills are alive with the sound of music, with the song they have sung for 1,000 years. Cindy, 2 minutes. What does this have to do with your creativity? Go ahead.
When I was diagnosed with MS, I was struggling, and it felt at times as I was drowning. And when I overcame, the 10 years that I went through the MS and I overcame, it was like coming out of drowning, and I felt so renewed. The colors in life even became more vivid. Um, and the experience that my husband and I had with two of our granddaughters, they were 11 and 12 at the time, and went on a horse packing trip with them. So we were all on our own horses. My husband was the lead horse, and my two granddaughters, they followed my husband, and then I was the last one. And as we were on the trail, and we're in the mountains of Idaho going to Boulder Lake, and there were boulders on that trail. My husband and I hadn't been on that particular trail before, so we didn't realize what it was about. But as we were going on it, it became really steep. And I don't particularly like heights, but we made it because the horses were very sure-footed. But as we were going up, and we were wondering how we were going to make it to the summit, and we made it, I heard my granddaughters burst out in song, "The hills are alive with the sound of music." And I was so excited. And so when I got to the top of that summit, I saw what they were seeing, and there was still dew on the grass and on these beautiful flowers that were scattered all through this green meadow. And my heart was just overjoyed with the sound of music. And it brought back a memory of when I had been sick, and that's how I felt, was the hills were alive with the sound of music.
That is a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. Somebody on my show last week picked another quote from The Sound of Music. Isn't that interesting? Haven't had quotes from that in a long, long time. Thank you, Cindy. Joel,
I'm
I
here.
don't sing, but I can do accents. So this is a quote from Don Corleone, played by the one and only Marlon Brando, The Godfather, 1972. It's an epic gangster film directed by who else? Francis Ford Coppola, who co-wrote the screenplay with Mario Puzo, based on Puzo's best-selling novel from 1969. Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, James Caan, Richard Castellano, Robert Duvall, Sterling Hayden, John Marley, Richard Conte, Diane Keaton. What a cast! The Godfather trilogy, chronicling the Corleone family under the Patriarch Vito from 1945 to 55, focuses this one on the transformation of his youngest son, Michael, played by Pacino, from reluctant family outsiders to a ruthless mafia boss. So here's the line we all know. Tell me how I'm doing with this one, Joel. "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse." How is that, Joel?
Well, I may be crazy and kinky, but I'm not criminal. So, but I think what I meant there in terms of my creativity is just persistence. I just stick with it, and I keep going no matter what. And I'm not afraid to exceed my boundaries and try something new. So when I say give them an offer, can't refuse, people say no, I'm going to do it anyways, or try to do it anyways. You can't publish a book. Yeah, I got a book published. You can't do this, you can't do that, and I just keep at it. I keep my head down, and I keep at it. Working within that corporate world was stressful, and it was difficult. The last company I worked at was not a dysfunctional company, and they were very sad to see me go. And I had great bosses, and I had great coworkers, and there was great executive management there. But I just saw that I had to move out and spread my wings. And so I gave them an offer they can't refuse. I said, listen, I have to leave, and I have to move on. And I spent full time writing my most recent book, the 7 Habits of Highly Dysfunctional Companies. And so that's kind of where my creativity comes from. I don't see myself creative in the artistic sense. I see myself creative in being an out of the box thinker. I know that's straying off from the quote a little bit, but
No,
I
that's
think
fine.
I think you get the picture, and same thing with my other book, about my wife. I was always saying, yes, dear, and we made a lot of jokes, and I found a lot of people responded to things, and a lot of people saw some common funny things in marriages. And so I wasn't sure about writing the book, but my wife is the one with the good ideas. She'll tell you that, not me. So well, I think it was her idea, not mine, and I was able to write that. I wrote that actually during COVID, during the lockdown.
Good
So
thing to do during COVID. By the way, Joel, I think there's another spin to that, but I was waiting for you to say whether I did a good Vito
you did a
Corleone.
You did a great Vito
Thank
Corleone.
you. We missed that. The host
yeah.
wants a little pat on the back once in a while.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was we could flip it around and say, I'm going to make myself an offer I can't refuse.
That's a good way
Right?
to look at it.
Right, Cindy? Right? I'm going to get better, right, Joel? I'm going to
Yeah.
try out for the Olympics, right, Monique? I'm going to teach people how to manage their money. I can't refuse the offer of my wanting to succeed at this. Thank you, Joel, for letting me have complete poetic license there. Okay, let's go on. I'm looking at who have we got here? Monique, I'm looking at your quote. This is from Chris Gardner, played by Will Smith. The movie is The Pursuit of Happiness, spelled with a Y instead of an I in happiness. 2006 biographical film starring Will Smith as Chris Gardner, a homeless salesman, and his son in real life, Jaden Smith, co-stars as his son Christopher Jr., based on a best-selling memoir written by Gardner, with Quincy Troop based on Gardner's nearly one-year struggle being homeless. Interesting. Okay, and here is the quote. Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something, not even me. Monique, 2 minutes, go.
Well, that's a good one because when I was young, I was always told I couldn't do something because I was small and it didn't really. So I always found ways to push myself. My mom was always behind me and told me that I could do this. I remember when I was young, I was really shy and couldn't even speak in front of people. And finally, I became a teacher, Microsoft certified engineer, taught with Bill Gates, and just continue pushing myself to making sure that I can do this. And so it doesn't matter if you're small or if you're. I have my oldest granddaughter. She's actually very petite, and she learned to overcome this with perfection, and she actually even made an essay which was on the syndrome of Turner. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but the syndrome of Turner is a chromosome that you have that is very small. And if you have this, there's few people that has this, but they actually, if you go, if you you don't live until more than 25 years old. But she did such a good job that she was actually invited to the university to actually teach her to give a presentation, and she did a fundraising for it. They gave $2, gave $1,800 to this foundation for people that didn't know. So when when you can push yourself sometimes, when do you think so? For me, why am I in the teaching money? Because I find that money, most people doesn't know or how money works really, and sometimes they get in trouble because they get in trouble. So I try to teach into simple ways with props, like little things like this, very visual, very simple. And this is why it brought me to actually try to teach to children, because I think it's so important now in this world to understand that it's not complicated and that we have choices, and the choices we make is where it brings us in life. And happiness, everybody wants to be happy, and they all think that you need lots of money to be happy, but that's not the case. It's just you just need to know how to manage the one what you have.
Thank you. Very very well taken. Thank you very much. We're all nodding there. And let's go to Joe Hippensteel. Joe has picked a quote from John Henry, played by Arliss Howard, to Billy Bean. Now everybody knows the movie, played by Brad Pitt. Moneyball, 2011, American biograph. We got money in there for you, Monique, from Joe. American biographical. We got two biographical movies. I don't usually allow these, but the quotes were so good. John William Henry II, who was born in 1949, I call that a young kid, is an American businessman and founder of John W. Henry and Company investment firm. He's the principal owner of Liverpool Football Club, Boston Red Sox, Pittsburgh Penguins, the Boston Globe, co-owner of RFK Racing, and Forbes estimated last year his net worth at only $4 billion. Oh my goodness, Monique, I think he knows how to manage his money. So here is what Joe has picked from the movie. I know you're taking it in the teeth, but the first guy through the wall, he always gets bloody. always. Joe, rescue us. Who's getting bloody here? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's when you have a dream and you believe in yourself and the world's telling you no, you have to just keep going. Thank you for the inspirational stories from each of the speakers today. And when you have something that you believe in and the world fights you, there's like several stages that you go through as an entrepreneur or as a creative business person, athlete, whatever it is. The first stage is where everyone laughs at you because they think you're crazy. When it's a new paradigm, they think you're crazy. The second stage is you start getting a little traction, and then they start fighting you because you become a competition. Then when they start to understand what you're saying, you get a little bit of cooperation, and then everybody wants to be your friend because you've proved to be successful. And it all comes from perseverance, like Joel said, and being creative and finding the beauty. As Cindy said, it's you got to go. The first person through the wall gets bloody, and it's going to happen. And as long as you expect it, you're not going to shy away from continuing your mission. And so for me, it's always been, okay, if there's a box that people want you to be in, be creative. Forget the box. In the physical therapy world, they have certain limitations, but we have specific standards for our ranges of motion that we teach in our physiokinesiology world. And it's way beyond a physical therapist standards. And they don't like it. It threatens them. Even if they see success right in front of them with our demonstrations, it's a box that you have to go outside of. So I've gone through the wall. When I heard that, when I saw the movie, I literally saw it several times, and I'm like, okay, I'm bloody. I accept it. Let's move on.
I
So
like
that's my story.
that. I never thought of that in exactly that way. Being the first, being the one to not just go out of the box, to burst open the walls of the box, to push them out, to say, what box? There is no box
That's right.
around me. I'm going to do whatever it is that I think is the right thing to do, or I'm going to die trying anyway. I'm gonna get there somehow. I think in our own way, each of us has done that. Creative people do that. We don't follow always the rules. We don't sit there with our hands folded and say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. We say, is there a better way or a different way, or what is my way? Ah, a little Sinatra in there. Thank you all for the quotes. I love the quotes. I appreciate the work you put into it. Now let's go to one or two statements for each. Let's see if we can we got 19 minutes left. Let's see what we can cram in here. Cindy Wageman, I'm going to combine your creativity statements 2 and 3. Just take 2 minutes or less. You might see me doing this in the background, so we need to keep it tight because I want to get everybody a chance to get something in here. So Cindy says, creativity means using my playfulness in my original ideas, especially in my artwork. That was your statement 2. And your statement 3 is, in my world, in my creativity, a new world opens up to me. I can be painting or writing, and this flow of imagination starts happening to me. I am enchanted with the work that comes out of my soul when I am in my flow. Cindy, 2 minutes. This is lovely. Go ahead.
Well, as I mentioned in my early years, I loved colors, art. And as life went on and I was sick and just raising our girls, my husband and I, we homeschooled them. It was a very busy time in our lives. But as I became well and my girls grew up, I took art classes. I decided to go back into art. And that's what I did. And I found that it takes 10,000 hours, and this is what we've been talking about, to perfect a skill through intelligence and by practicing. And with art, I believe I did all of that. And for 18 years, I taught lessons, and I also enjoyed art to the fullest. We have a ghost town that is maybe an hour and a half from us. It's called Silver City in Idaho. And it is the neatest, it's a ghost town that didn't burn down. And during its high time was like 1843 to year 1900. And I was able to paint on canvas those buildings, and I sold them in a shop there. And I also painted on canvas some of the houses that were restored for the homeowners. And it was one of the greatest things I ever did. I loved it. It was wonderful. So, and I've sold a lot of that art. And so it brings me a lot of excitement and fun to think that other people have my art in their home.
That's lovely. And I want to read you a little statement I collected a while ago about the word flow state.
Okay.
Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, it's a 24 word letter word. Anyway, his 1990 book started the popular conversation about the phenomenon of flow state as a state of mind in which people can focus their brains, shut out distractions, and become much more productive. And I'll put into the chat for all of you because I can't pronounce the name. No disrespect intended. Thank you very much, Cindy. Joel, let's go to you. And I picked your statement number 1, and let's go with, yeah, now you have
I've
regrets.
forgotten what I wrote.
Well, that's because I'm going to read it to you, so it's
Yeah.
okay. I never say, what did you write, Joel? I wouldn't do that. I like you too much. You say, my humor writing is one way I express my creativity. There are enough business books out there to fill a warehouse, or 2 or 3 or 10, but nobody has written a funny anti-manual like mine that, if taken literally, will wreck your business. In an indirect way, my creativity through the book is a voice for everybody who works in an office and is miserable. My creativity is my voice expressing something unique that nobody else has said. Joel, 2 minutes. Tell us a little bit about what's in that book. Go ahead.
So, if you follow my book to the letter, you will run your business into the ground, guaranteed. And I found that the people that really, really like my book are people that work in offices. I've had a few executives look at it. One guy thought it was very, very funny. He was a former executive from a Fortune 500 company, just one of those coincidences. I happen to know him personally. And he said to me, it was very funny, but it seemed angry. And I thought, well, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm reflecting my own frustrations, that I had. But there, as I said, I think this book is really, really unique because there's all kinds of books out there that tell you this and that, and you got to do this and do this. And that's the other thing. I make fun of that. That every other week there's a new fad, and every other company, every other boss says, well, we're going to use this system and that system, and your head is spinning. And I have a whole chapter in there about how a lot of employees, you can tell a dysfunctional company, there's employees walking around with neck braces because they've got whiplash going from this way and that way. What did they say today? What did they say tomorrow? I don't know anymore. I can't, what business are we in? I couldn't tell you. It's, I think we're in the business of building bureaucracies and fighting corporate battles. I mean, I talk about knights in shining armor, and I honestly think there are executives in these companies. They have no concept of business. They're more interested in their personal feather bedding and creating their little empires, and they have no concept of what it is to build a business. I mean, there are hairdressers, taxi drivers, and lemonade stand people that know more about business than some business executives. Business executives, you put in a lemonade stand, they'd actually have to talk to people. They'd have to talk normal instead of corporate gobbledygook. They'd actually have to serve customers. I mean, God, heaven forbid. So there really is no other book like this. I mean, there is some business humor out there, but it's truly unique in that regard. That's kind of where my frustrations kind of came out. So it's funny that it was the executive that said that. And I'm kind of waiting for other executives. Some will probably get defenses. Oh, that's not our company. We aren't.
Oh,
like
they
that.
know it. They know it is. Joel, would you send me an ebook, a copy of that, please? I'd love to read it.
I guess I will. I'll send it to you.
With all of my years of corporate, and I'll tell you a little history later.
You'll
I don't
love
want
it.
to take up time. I will. And I think they're process nerds. I think they're process addicts where it's all right. Joe is nodding his head. Yeah, it's what process are we going to do today? And how can you fit 20 lines of text into a box that's a quarter of an inch high? And you have to get the form, and you have to, your KPIs, key performance indicators. Oh, I used to love KPIs. I used to promise I'd increase my radio listenership by 5% every year. I had no friggin' way to do that. You can't measure who's listening or not. Anyway, but I digress. We'll talk, Joel. So let's go to Monique. And Monique, here's a statement you didn't tell us about, I don't think. You say, I've designed a board game that marries, we love marriages. We love weddings anyway, don't we, Joel? Marries financial literacy with fantasy. Well, every marriage wants to marry with fantasy. Making education an adventure. 2 minutes, Monique, go. 2 minutes, please.
I completely forgot about the board game.
Well, I didn't. Go ahead.
So the board game is actually it was designed as a butterfly because I teach as like butterfly. Why do I teach like butterfly? Because if life is like a bunch of caterpillars, everybody goes around and around, and then what you want to do is my mission is to take these caterpillars, give them a different view in life, and go into the road of less traveled and become a free of. So basically the game, what it does, that's what it does, is actually you've got some obstacle. It shows you real life story. When I was young, for me, when I was in school, I don't know about you guys, but 2 + 2, I didn't care what it made. Like it, whatever it was, but 2 pencils and two sharpeners, that made 4. That made sense. And this is why I teach with a lot of props, and I try to be visual. And this is why I have a board game, because I think it's the best way to learn. When I was teaching in IT, I always had these little props that I would teach with, and that's what made my success in that world. And this is what made my success in this world too, is teaching with concrete. And same thing, money, people don't really realize what money is, and by playing the game, and there's strategies in it and getting out of debt. But believe me, you can tell when you play that game, you can tell the savers, the spenders, and then you learn different ways of actually making where you may improve in your life. It makes a big difference.
Thank you. Very, very nice. Do you happen to have the game there? Could we just take a peek at the board, or do you have the box?
Actually, if you give me 2 seconds, I can.
Well, I'm going to go to Joe. So bring it,
Okay,
and we'll
I'll
do
go
a quick
grab it.
before we go to the end of the show. That's fine.
Okay.
Joe
right.
Hippensteel, I'm going to go to your statement number 1. You say, I had to be creative to develop new training methods to overcome my lack of size and natural talent. You told us about carrying the 40-pound pack. Is there anything you've done creatively for other people you're training who have similar issues with similar size challenge, shall we say? Can you share some other stuff with us?
Yeah, sure. It's really a matter of understanding that if you don't have the genetic advantages that the bigger, stronger, faster athletes have, you can make up for it in dedication and perseverance and right training methods. So, for example, if someone is big and right now there's an epidemic in elbow and shoulder injuries in baseball.
Mhm.
These are big guys that are strong. They throw fast. They throw 100 miles an hour. And the problem is if they don't have the flexibility, they're going to break. So I make sure my athletes have flexibility to an exact standard so they don't get hurt. I make sure that they have specific strength moves through the ranges of motion that they need for their sport or their training, whether it's Navy SEALs or whether it's a 70-year-old citizen who knits for a living. It's really a matter of being able to make sure you can have the necessary bottom line foundation for flexibility and strength, and then being able to persevere, being able to be dedicated, being able to be focused beyond what someone with a lot of talent will take for granted. So, for example, a 300-pound football player, he may not have to be athletic at all. He's just big, he gets in the way, but then there's a point where when he gets injured, it's kind of like the end of his career. They don't know what to do. So we make sure that they have the foundation, they build that up, and they become almost invulnerable, invincible.
I like that. Thank you. A lot of creativity there in understanding what people need, where they are, where they're at, right, Joel? Where
Yes.
they're at, who they are right now. Monique, quickly, you want to show us the game?
Yes, I forgot about this.
I didn't.
I see.
Oh my goodness, there's a butterfly. Look at that.
I see
And you've got butterflies on your jacket. You've got a butterfly necklace too. Isn't that beautiful?
Now you know why.
Qui a pris mon argent? Who took my money in French? Are you a native French speaker, Monique?
Yes, I'm French Canadian.
That's why you were so happy when I did my countdown backwards
That's
in
right,
French. I
that's
saw you know,
right.
yeah, somebody
Yes.
else speaks French. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple minutes left. I want to go through some fun trivia here, so please bear with me, and you can just smile or clap if you hear something you like. Let's do music history, June 17th. In 1969, Elvis released a song called Clean Up Your Own Backyard. I've never heard of it, but it's on the record books. In 1972, in the state, the Rolling Stones album Exile on Main Street hit #1 in the U.S. I don't even know what that is. In 73, the next year, Dolly Parton recorded I Will Always Love You, written about her mentor, Porter Wagoner. In 1978, Andy Gibbs' Shadow Dancing. I was teaching disco, and that was a good song, which he wrote with his brothers, the Bee Gees. It hit #1 in America. On this date in 85, the reclusive Bob Dylan opened up on the syndicated radio show Rockline and took calls from fans. I didn't know that. In 1989, Ringo Starr announced the second annual lineup of his All-Star, STARR band, featuring Billy Preston, Joe Walsh, Dr. John, Nils Lofgren, Clarence Clemens of the Bruce Springsteen Eastie Band, and the bands Levon Helm and Rich Danko. In 1995 in the state, Rod Stewart set an attendance record at Wembley Stadium in London. 83,000 fans attended his concert. The record held until 2009 for, 14 years, when U2 drew 88,000 at that stadium. And in 1997 on this date, Ozzy Osbourne's voice gave out before his Ozfest date in Columbus, Ohio. The promoters didn't tell the fans he wasn't coming to sing. They didn't tell them till later, and guess what they did? They trashed the stadium. There you go. Now, let's say a happy birthday to Barry Manilow. Anybody want to quickly guess how old he is? Barry Manilow? Cindy, any idea? Anybody? He's 81 today. I write the songs. And Mandy, he did charity shows as well. He attended the Juilliard School while working at CBS in New York. He wrote jingles for State Farm Insurance. I didn't know that. He used to play the piano for Bette Midler at her concerts. Some of his songs are thought to be based on Chopin preludes. Today, the comedian Will Forte from SNL is 54, and Venus Williams, the tennis pro, is 44, and Kendrick Lamar, the rapper from Compton, is 37. There you go. Let's see now. I have some YouTube surprises I have some social media birthdays for you. We got time. On YouTube, Lizzie Capri is 30. Joel Dubin, why should you care about that? Because she has more than 7 million subscribers on YouTube. She's got 850,000 fans on Instagram. And her dog, Millie, who has his own YouTube series called Millie's World, Millie's World, has over 1 million YouTube fans. I have no idea what Lizzie Capri does. They didn't tell, but that's what's happy birthday, Lizzie. On TikTok, Brianna LaPaglia, Lapaglia, is 25 today. Happy birthday. She has 12.1 million followers on TikTok, 58 million likes, and only 950,000 followers on Insta. She does short form videos with text in video lip syncs with comedic testimonials and memes. I have no idea what that means. Then we have on Instagram, the name of the person is BDOT, so it's B.A.5. He is 34 years old. He's just starting 1.4 million followers. He's a web comedian who does parodies of popular, Joe, this is for you, basketball players. He's played basketball in Spain and Australia, and his parody of James Harden got 1 million views in less than 2 months. So happy birthday to all these people who I don't know what they do. I don't know what's in the water, what they're drinking, but wow. That means that many people are following them, are on Insta, are on TikTok, are on YouTube, watching and listening. Oh my goodness. Today is National Gerald Day. You know anybody named Gerald? Say hello. It's Global Garbage Day. I don't know what to do with that. It's National Apple Strudel Day. I made a blueberry cobbler. Next time it'll be apple. It's Eat Your Vegetables Day. That's what my doctor told me. It's Harrison Day. You know anybody named Harrison? Hello. Jan Day, Mason Day, and Ralph Day. It's National Mascot Day. I don't know if you have a own mascot. It's Stewart's Root Beer Day. I don't drink Stewart's. I drink A&W. It's Take Your Cat to Work Day. Meow, meow. It's Animal Rights Awareness Week. And it's Universal Father's Week because we just had Father's Day. Happy, happy. June is the month of microchipping your pet, accordion awareness. If you know an accordion, you better be aware of it. Adopt a Cat Month, Audiobook Month, Beautiful in Your Skin Month, Camping Month, DJ Month. Good, I've got time. Entrepreneurs Do-It-Yourself Marketing Month, Fireworks Safety Month. Yes, Foster a Pet Month, Give a Bunch of Balloons Month. Up and away. Home Ownership Month, International Surf Music Month, National Rose Month, Oceans and Rivers Month, Perennial Gardening Month, Women's Golf Month, and Zoo and Aquarium Month. The foods of June are iced tea. It's a food. Lemon, cucumber, mango, candy, it's a food. Dairy, country cooking, it's a food. Frozen yogurt, national fruits and vegetables, fresh, turkey lovers, and Georgia blueberries. There you go. In 2014, I used to close my show with the top 10 tips for women. Cindy and Monique, I want you to listen up. The number one, this was in 2014, the number one tip for women was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. That's from 2014. I saved my notes. Joel, I hope you weren't offended. So let's close the show. I want you all to join me here. I'm going to ask you to do something. So listen up. Work like you don't need the money. Monique, we know we all do. Dance. I'm sorry, I've started the wrong way. Life is short. Break the rules. Right, Joel? Break the
Right.
rules. Forgive quickly? I don't think so. Kiss slowly? Yes, definitely. Love truly with your heart. Laugh uncontrollably. Join me for a 3-second laugh. Everybody, let it go. 1, 2, 3. Monique, let yourself go. Let's go there. Laugh uncontrollably and never, ever regret anything that made you smile. Here we go. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I was teaching disco in high heels in a tabletop for 250 students in a high school in Eugene, Oregon, they all watched. Trust me. No, I didn't fall. Sing like nobody's listening. I didn't sing today. And love like you've never been hurt, because we all have. Let your heart regrow, regroup, regenerate, and love again. Money talks, chocolate sings. And last but not least, I stole this line from a host many years ago. Thank you for turning me on. Radio Red signing off. Wave goodbye. Don't go away, guests. We're going to talk. Wave goodbye, LinkedIn. Wave goodbye, Facebook twice. Wave goodbye, YouTube. And wave goodbye, Voice America. Michael, are we out? Michael. We lost our engineer. Michael, are you there? Just keep waving. Michael. Okay,
He's
I'm going to
laughing
say,
so hard he's off the mic.
I know he's off the mic. Michael, are you still there? He's
Yes.
nowhere to be found. All right, I'm going to close out the social, and I'm going to stop the recording. And I don't know what we're doing. Michael, Jordan, are you there?
There's still 3 minutes, I think.
No, 5:57 on the dot. Michael, come back. He's probably engineering another show. Anybody want to say any words of wisdom? Anybody have a closing here, since we're still going strong here? Anybody have anything to say?
Yes. Be your
Go.
dream.
Be your dream. I like
For sure.
like that.
I like that.
I like that. And Monique, my suggestion for managing your money is do not sign up for an online Pilates class at 2 a.m. when you have insomnia, and only to find out that the company's in Cyprus and that it's an international transaction, and they automatically sign you up for renewal for 5 times the amount you're paying for 1 week, and then find out where to cancel it the next day. Michael, are you here? No, Michael. I'm just going to close down. Okay, I'm going to stop.